Are the folks on there, are they in the meeting already, or are they in the waiting room?
No, they're in here.
Okay, well, I've got 1 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everybody to our 1 o'clock brown bag lunch with myself. I'm Kris Blomback, and as well as Joe Devine, Town Administrator. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Joe, who's the mastermind behind this, and then Joe, all yours.
Thanks, Kris. I think, for me, this was just an opportunity to try to get people together so that they understand what the community is doing in response to everything. Sorry, I'm still admitting some people here. I think that it's a good opportunity for us just to be able to get together, and specifically if the town's residents have questions on what the town is doing in response to everything, this is the opportunity to allow them to come in here and ask questions. We've been pretty adamant, town hall, we may not be open for people to come in, but we're definitely open and still working in town hall. We are processing registrations, we're processing permits for anybody who submits them. It may look a little differently because we don't have people coming right into our office to submit them, but we are trying to make sure that services aren't being impacted. On a public safety standpoint, obviously police, fire, EMS are responding just as normal. The highway department is still out there working. Wastewater is still working, and the transfer station is still operating. Granted, it looks a little bit differently because our recyclables aren't quite the same. We aren't taking the plastics and the cardboard. We are still taking glass because there's no sorting required. But for the plastics and the cardboard, we're not really taking those in right now. I'm gonna unmute people if people have questions and they want to. To me, this is a good opportunity just to have a dialogue. So if people want to learn more about what's going on in the town or do have questions, this is their chance to say it. So everybody has been unmuted. If people, obviously want to have questions or want us to answer stuff, this is the opportunity.
Joe, I'll throw out a question for you,
Sure.
just so it's more of an educational aspect. How much extra time should you tell folks to allow for the process of interacting with the town? So if I was filing a building permit, or if I was planning a project here in town, due to the restrictions on the town office, what should somebody build into their overall formula for getting a decision out of town? Sure.
So on the land use side for zoning permits and things like that, there really isn't no change. There's no change to our operations to say. If you submit it online, meaning if you email it to us, we're sending it out just like we normally would, and your responses are pretty much the same. The difference that comes in specifically is more on the clerk side, just because there's more, it's a little bit more labor intensive. If you're dropping off a piece of paper, or if you're dropping off, let's say, a marriage license, or if you're dropping off your motor vehicle registrations to renew, because we're coming into May again, and now the May light, everyone's gonna be doing their May. When you drop that off in our office, the CDC has recommended that we don't touch paper at least for 24 hours. So when we take those in, we're letting them sit for 24 hours before we touch them. After they've sat, so if it comes in on Monday, it'll sit on Tuesday, we'll process on Wednesday. We'll process it as normal. And then depending on how you want it, we have people who come to town hall, pick them up, and we leave them outside for them. We arrange a time and it's just sitting out there for them, or we mail it back to them. So if we're mailing it back to you, obviously it's contingent on the post office. We would go in the mail on Wednesday. Hopefully you'd have it by Friday. So on the clerk side of things. So.
And about all forms and applications, they're all available on our website for folks to download, so they don't need to go into town hall.
That is correct. Everything is available on our website. There's a couple things that have been, the state's always evolving on how we're doing things. One of the changes, obviously, is for 20-day plates now. If you have a plate that was a new vehicle that was purchased February 28th till now, they've extended that out till May 31st for renewal, so you still don't need to worry about getting a new plate until after May 31st, which is a good thing. On the assessing side, the Board of Selectmen has extended our exemptions. So if you have a blind exemption or a veteran exemption, it used to be April 15th. It's now out into May. So it gives you till June 1st, technically, to file for those exemptions. And those exemptions can be found on our website as well. So, everything that we need, that you need, is available for people to get.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure. One of the other major changes that the state has done and I actually posted on Facebook yesterday, is the Attorney General and the Secretary of State has made it so your September voting and your November voting can all be done during absentee ballots. You're not required to come to polling places. Typically, you had to have a reason for an absentee ballot. You couldn't just go and get one. You had to have a medical reason or because you were actually going to be out of the state. They've extended that to anybody is able to get an absentee ballot for the September primary and for the general election in November. On our website, we put a blurb up there how you can go about applying for the absentee ballot. And you can also change your party affiliation through June now. So if anybody's looking to change the party affiliation with the clerk's office, they can do that as well. So, do we have any questions from people? Happy to answer them.
How are you doing on funding? I listened to Senator Shaheen's message yesterday with the business, industry, and economics, and there's no stimulus currently for New Hampshire towns and municipals.
So we're obviously reviewing that on a weekly basis. We're starting to pull reports for the Board of Selectmen for the May 5th meeting so that they can have a good understanding of where we are. Specifically with cash flow, that's going to be one of the major issues that whether a municipality or a business is going to be struggling with right now. Is just making sure they have that cash flow coming in and out. And speaking to our finance director, we don't see any immediate problems with our finances. We feel that we're operationally and financially strong right now. So we're not overly concerned. Obviously, like any community, we are looking for any funding sources that are out there. We are expending expenses that we hadn't budgeted on. An important thing to think about right now is the town of Henniker is still operating on really no budget because our town meeting hasn't occurred yet. We're hoping May 9th is going to be the date that we can get our town meeting done. We're waiting for the governor, obviously. I think we'll hear a decision Thursday or Friday, if I had to make a guess, on when, if he's going to extend the stay-at-home order, if he's going to extend the gatherings. And we're trying to figure out other contingencies in the event it is continued. Bo was very successful with a traditional school board meeting, which would look much like a town meeting that they just had this past weekend, where they did basically people could drive through and vote, drive-through voting. And their votes were the highest number of voters came through that they've ever had. They had over 700 voters come through. For them, that's a big turnout. So if that comes to that, obviously we would be dealing with Cordell as a moderator and the Board of Selectmen to figure out how we can continue moving on. So.
Excellent, thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Joe and Kris. Actually, one thing that Justin, you inspired a thought. If anything, it's just a comment. Thank you for everyone who's involved in voting to allow the farmers market to open up in town. That was great news that I saw on Facebook. So it's great that you're going to be able to keep moving with that. Obviously, people have to be responsible with distance and stuff, but that's great for the town.
Yeah, the board made a great decision in that, and it is a great thing to keep doing. You know, everybody says the new normal. For us, I think we really just need to figure out what the new normal looks like, and we need to keep it as normal as we can. You know, so that people have that sense of community and that sense of normalcy so that they're not being impacted. Do we have any other questions on what the town is doing or questions on how we are moving forward? Any suggestions, anything like that?
Joe, could you explain, just for the sake of the audience, I saw some, I'm familiar with it, but maybe you could explain it a little bit better. I saw some construction occurring downtown the other day. Could you just speak to that with the warrant articles not approved so that
Sure.
we can temper any rumors or anything like that?
So Western Ave, Hall Ave, they were part of a project that was approved last year through a warrant article. And they're working on what we consider the final coat now. They're putting that final coat. So the work you're seeing right now is they're raising all the manhole covers. You'll see street sweepers going through and paving happening on those streets so that we can finish the job that was started last year. The funds that we're using on this project were approved through last year's warrant. So there's no new funds being expended to complete these projects.
Great. So it's more or less just wrapping them up.
We are finishing.
Putting the final coat.
Yep. any other questions from people? I can speak quickly to see that the library is looking to try to get back operational somewhat as well. They have a meeting with the trustees tomorrow night. They're looking to figure out how they can best serve the community right now. They're really specifically looking at how they can do some sort of drive-through pickup service, call ahead, and they're looking at the logistics on how to make that happen. I think that'll be their next phase on what they're looking to do. Right now, they're doing things virtually. You can get access to some online books, audio books, things like that through the Tucker Free Library's website. But that's their next step. What they consider a phase reopening is going to be this drive-through service for books.
Joe, could you explain what % of the Town of Henniker workforce is still actively employed and any special protocols that they might be adhering to?
So the Town of Henniker, we are still pretty much operating at 100%. The only people who are currently not working with us are through the police department, and that was due to the age of the people because they were considered a high-risk category. So our parking enforcement officer and then obviously our crossing guards are not working because school is not in session. But other than that, everybody is still working. Again, it may look a little bit differently, especially in town hall, but we are all still trugging along right now.
Okay. I had a constituent say that it was taking a little bit extra long to get title to cars. Can you speak to that?
Well, I believe to get the title for the car would go through the state of New Hampshire. It wouldn't come through the town offices.
Perhaps I'm misunderstanding the question. Come back to me on that.
Sure. Does anybody else in the audience have any questions?
I can't get a hold of them right now, so.
All right. You know, I think as far as things taking longer, to me, the big thing that's taking a couple extra days is if you're doing your registrations, whether they're doing them online or you're dropping them in person. Just because we're letting things sit for that day, then we're processing. Now, if you do something online, we're processing it the next day. And then again, depending on how it's getting back to you, we're relying on the mail. But if you submitted something, let's say today, it would be processed tomorrow, and then either it would be mailed out or you could come and pick it up at town hall. So the turnaround isn't too bad at this point. We're kind of got it down now.
Do any audience members have any questions that they'd like to ask of the town?
Sure,
Or
John.
comments or anything?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I was questioning about the fire department with the fire burning permits
Sure.
with the campgrounds opening May 4th. And what's the word with and neighbors having big bonfires? What should we do?
So
If-
burn permits are being processed online. There's a link right on the website of the Henniker Fire Department, and people can apply for a permit. When you apply for it, it tells you basically what schedule of fire you're going to have, and that's
Right.
what you would check off, and that's how you could apply for it. And that's all. That's also technically through the state. We get a copy of it just telling that it's been applied, but the permit through it itself goes through the state.
I did look at it. I did read through it because, I just have a concern about big bonfires and stuff. And I guess they're allowed to do bonfires at night after 5 or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, unless for some
I
reason
thought
there's
I thought there was a no burn. I thought there was a high fire risk and all that kind of stuff. And that I was told they weren't issuing burn permits.
if there is a high fire risk danger for that day, the state won't issue that permit for that day. So when you
So
apply
it's
for
day
it,
by day.
you will be denied at that
Okay.
on that day. Yep,
Thank you.
sure.
Hi, this is Susan Daniel again, and I was wondering if you have a phased approach to reopening or what the plan is for reopening once the governor approves it.
So we have been working on a phased reopening plans. Again, everything for the most part is still open. The only access for for people right now is Town Hall that you're not able to get in. And if you came into our Town Hall now, you'd already noticed difference. We have plexiglass put up already in anticipation of phased reopening, so that when the governor says you can open, we're going to open up. And, I think the biggest thing for us is going to be figuring out how many people, if he says you can have 25 people, and let's just say 25 people are gatherings, if he makes a phase like that, how we're going to police how many people are coming into Town Hall, just because our lobby area is tight. It's not a huge lobby that people can get into. But as far as staffing goes, we already have plexiglass put up, and the hope is that we can move forward with it. The department heads and I have been dealing with that, talking about how it's going to look to reopen. And we think we're going to be in a good spot when we're ready.
Further questions from the group? Any questions out there? We've talked about registration. We've talked about forms and voting and the new rules going into an application there. Talked about town meeting is still tentatively for May 9th, but possibly, most likely will be delayed, and a couple of other issues. Is there any other issues there that are on the front of everyone's mind? I'd say not, Joe.
I'd say not. Well, I hope people found this a little bit useful. There's another one today at 4:30. The one at 4:30 is specifically geared towards the business community. We have the SBA coming in to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program, to talk about funding that's out there and available right now. We have the Department of Economic Development coming in as well to speak about state programs, to try to get that information out to the business community so that they can continue working and continue operating. I think, if you look forward at our May meeting, we are looking at the May 5th meeting for the Board of Selectmen. We're looking at some different avenues as far as property taxes go, to try to work with people as well. So just, keep moving forward. We're trying to do everything we can. Hopefully you'll join us at 4:30 if you own a business or if you have questions from the SBA, the Henniker Chamber, or anybody like that. Next week, we're looking at either Monday or Tuesday having a third one. It's going to be specifically for education. I see Mike's on the call, but NEC is going to be joining us, and the SAU will be joining us to do one for an educational kind of outlook as far as how we're moving forward and what September may look for these schools as they reopen as well.
So Joe, communication in a situation like this is key to making sure that everything runs smoothly. How often is your plan to do these brown bag lunches for the sake of the audience?
I think it's as frequently as we need them. For me, again, I'm a transparent person. I try to be as forthcoming with information to the town as I can be for the residents, so they know exactly where the town is going and the reason we're doing things. And that was my idea behind this, was just, again, let people know this is what we're doing. This is how we're moving forward. We're always open for suggestions. A lot of our models and stuff we're looking at, we're taking from other communities. We're all kind of reinventing the wheel, but we're all borrowing stuff from each other to try to make this work for everybody. So, hi, Joan.
I know you don't want to spend money, but the only place I saw this posted was on Facebook. Not everybody has Facebook. How about the Messenger and the Stonebridge and buy a little ad? I like the logo with the brown bags with the whatever, continue that marketing thing and get the word out there. This is great.
I had a conversation with Michael Pond from the Stonebridge Post, just trying to let him know that it was happening. Obviously nothing ran. We didn't buy an advertisement for it. That's something we could definitely look at doing in the future though, yeah.
I think they expect money. I think I try to run something too, and if it should be an ad, it should be purchased. But they may give you a discount, I hope. But how else can we get the word out there? How about the Concord Monitor too? Maybe you don't want the Monitor, but most of us in this town get the Monitor. If you emphasize it's just Henniker, unless you don't want it going that far for ads.
Sure. I'm open to anything. I obviously like supporting the Messenger and the Stonebridge Post. They're more of a neighborhood feel for community newspaper.
And Tom Dunn does one at the Sunday newspaper. Contact him and he'll put it under the Henniker section.
So, we can definitely look at that because, again, for me, it's just trying to get information out there so people know what the town's doing.
Right. Is this being recorded? And is this going to be filed under the stream thing?
Yep, so what we'll do is, we'll probably file it we have a page already set up for this, and we'll put it right under today's date with the post of everything that happened on it. Yep.
So it won't be on the town stream. It'll be on a different filing. It'll be somewhere else.
It'll be on henniker.org as opposed to town hall stream.
Henniker.org. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So I have one more addition, is that the Henniker Hillsborough Rotary is taking grant applications. Monies were received from Rotary International at the district level. And so if there are people in need, I know Monica Rico applied, for example, for the meals program. Please either let me know, or the current president is Frank Malinsky. And so that is being done now, and would like to get those in so that the monies can get given out as soon as possible.
Great, thank you, Susan.
Great, so we'll plan on another one of these next Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
That's
Good. I'll wash my hair.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll try to get an advertisement out so more people know about it as well. So.
All righty. Any other final questions from the audience? All right. Thanks, Joe. I think this was very productive, and if you guys have it, you could always email us as well. Otherwise, we'll see you next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.